Hello, welcome back to Sunday Night Football with your host Usman Akhtar. And as you can see, I have got Kishan Katecha here, back again.
Good to be back.
I could imagine, mate. How are you feeling?
Very good, especially after this week's results, which I'm sure we're going to discuss further a bit later on the show. But yeah, very, very happy.
Yeah, I could imagine.
How
obviously.
about you, though?
Well, you know, I could be better, but I'm not going to say too much just yet. Obviously, there's a couple of things that we want to talk about before we go into the Champions League games themselves. Obviously, if you are listening to this on Facebook Live, first and foremost, feel free to get yourselves in the comment section. We will try and read out as many questions as we possibly can. Managed that just to enjoy the show, I guess. Just to quickly tell you what the show is about. Basically just talking about Champions League football this week. There's a couple of other games that we will talk about, obviously League Cup and a couple of other issues that we want to quickly address. But that aside, let's get straight into the show. First and foremost, just want to start with something not related to the Champions League at all. The Forestieri situation. And for those of you that do not know, Forestieri is a striker that plays for Sheffield Wednesday. I believe I'm not sure when he scored. I think it's probably the equaliser, I would imagine. Long story short, he got sent off for high-fiving a fan. Kish, what do you make of that?
I think the referees really need to have a look at what's going off here, because I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, do you really want to take the passion away between the fans and the football players? There's already enough taken away from the fans as it is when it comes to, you know, ownership and so forth as well. So why do you want to take away even more? I don't understand what the issue is. I can appreciate what the referees are probably thinking, they could potentially cause a riot and so forth. However, in terms of the passion and the support that you're getting, what is wrong with high-fiving someone? It makes no sense for you to get a yellow card for that. It's just stupid. It's ridiculous.
Do you not? Well, obviously I'm just going to play devil's advocate to an extent. So, by the letter of the law, the referee is obviously well within his rights to send him off. Do you think what you're saying? Obviously, I agree with it, but do you think that's kind of putting emotion into it or sentiment rather than following the rules of the game? If that makes sense.
So again, there's the rules, and then there's justifying a card for you high-fiving a supporter. Does that justify you getting a yellow card? I mean, I can understand maybe even some way, shape or form if a player is jumping towards the fans and it's creating a riot, then yes. But just high-fiving a fan, I mean, surely that can't justify a yellow card.
So obviously you've mentioned obviously the players going into the stand, and that would be different. So regarding that, because obviously you've already spoken about how, you know, they don't do enough to obviously not promote the game, but obviously keep that sort of connection between the fans and the players. So would you think it's okay if they get booked if they go into that stands and stuff? Do you think that's okay?
I think the rule needs to be changed. I think we have to put into place what is right to do and what is not right to do, because at the moment, I think for the sake of doing something like, I mean, even now, if players, for example, are taking their top off to showcase like a family member or something, then apparently that's...
Someone got yellow carded for giving a tribute to that Salah.
To Salah.
Yeah, I can't remember.
And I know it's the law and I know it's the rules. However,
that's just ridiculous.
That is ridiculous. I could appreciate if you remember quite a few years ago when Nicholas Bentner did it in the Euros when he was a
sponsor. Yeah, obviously it's a sponsor. It's a different story, isn't it?
If it's something to do with like that, where it's a tribute to someone that was special to you, then I don't really see why that is a problem.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I've got to agree with you. It's just a bit stupid, isn't it? Just quickly on, you know, the fan connection and that kind of thing. Obviously we will talk about Champions League after this, but the one thing I noticed, obviously PSG beating us, but their fans were unbelievable. Like PSG, like they get a lot of criticism for being like a farmers league, plastic fans, etc, etc, but I've got to give credit where it's due. Their away fans were unbelievable. Old Trafford, they were singing the whole game. You could hear them the whole game, although for me personally I didn't enjoy it, but got to give credit where it's due. And also with like other foreign teams, like, you know, Dortmund fans, just any European team, Galatasaray fans, away fans. I know obviously away fans tend to be good, even the English teams, but do you not just think like atmosphere of most English clubs is, the stadiums are terrible? Like even like Dortmund, when you're going to go to Dortmund soon, we will talk about it soon, the atmosphere there, you'll find out you'll see what a real atmosphere is.
But I also think that's due to the restrictions that we have in England, and
that's what I mean. Like, how can they fix that?
I mean, for example, for European, I mean, you know, people always talk about Dortmund, their fans at home when they have to stand,
the yellow wall,
you know, exactly. We no longer have that. That from English football has been removed. Unfortunately, it's a dying trade. And I think the main reason behind that is because of the laws that we have in place in terms of things that we can and cannot do. I mean, I think this is just an example, and this is just something which I think would be a good idea. If they already have it, then fair enough, but I've not seen it. It would be very good to have on each section of a stadium to have like an area where it's like a carnival type of atmosphere.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
have drums and so forth.
They don't
something
have
like that.
They do have it in I can't remember. I know Galatasaray.
I don't know if they have it in many.
No, I don't think they have it in
UK
many.
teams?
Not in any of the Premier League teams
No.
from what where I don't know if the lower league teams have stuff like
Exactly.
that. But I know, and I think it's Galatasaray. They actually hire people. They call the hype men. They literally have a microphone, and they're just literally chanting, and everyone's
exactly,
repeating
and I
it.
think especially when your team is playing at home, your fan base is like your 12th man for your team.
Exactly.
So if they can't hear you and they can't hear the passion from you, then what effect is it?
Like the
gonna-
Old Trafford crowd for me personally, like I just thought it was quiet. Like you could hear the PSG
Yeah.
fans quite clearly, and obviously that's gonna. I can't say
Second
it's
half
gonna
you can
happen.
appreciate, but from the
Yeah,
beginning,
but
you've
I
got
just think
to-
it's not good enough. Like flags, like you said, drums, things like that. I think it's just a bit of a joke. Like we're falling so far behind, and we're so out of tune with what the fans are wanting. Like so many times, people go to games and they're told to sit down because they're not to
But
stand
let
up.
me
and
let me
stuff.
give you another sort of.
Even to have singing sections or
Let me
something.
give you another question towards that. Do you think with the way the inflation is with prices of football games nowadays, tickets and stuff, and it is only usually unless you're a die-hard fan, it is only the highest end prices for you to pay for tickets. Do you think those sort of people would want to
It's a lot of tourists
be celebrating and stuff, because it is the fans who are working trade and so forth that are more passionate about football from what I've seen as an opinion.
Yeah,
So maybe do you
well, the
think
working class people. I
Exactly.
guess.
So if you're like if you're on whatever and you're paying X amount for a season ticket and so forth, do you think you just go there to watch the game, or?
Yeah, just from my personal experience, a lot of people just sat down. Like I just think it's overly strict. Like Rupert just said, they don't let us bring bottle tops in yet, alone flares and
Exactly.
drums. I'm not going to sit and condone flares because I think that could be a
Yeah.
safety sort of
I mean,
thing.
Rupa went to the game last week. This week, and she did mention that in terms of the atmosphere, PSG.
It was way
second
better
to
than
none.
you could tell on the TV. Like I
Yeah.
went to when we played Burnley. Atmosphere was there. Like the Burnley fans were absolutely mocking us.
Yeah.
Like literally, I know that happens a lot at the big clubs, but like you see teams like Crystal Palace. I know Fulham aren't doing really well, but they're known for having a good fan base. That atmosphere. Obviously, Liverpool probably the best known top team, and even Liverpool's is not consistent throughout the game. I'm not expecting them to be doing it for the full 90 minutes, but I just think for me personally, not enough is being done. They don't really care, to be fair, about what the fans think, but just in general to incorporate the fans into the game. Like this is another example of that. A fan a high five for Forestieri and he got sent off. I just think it's ridiculous, to be honest with you. They just don't care about the fans, and I think that's what the issue
I
is.
just think things like that need to be reassessed, because it was they did change this law a long time ago, I think, in terms of for fan appreciation when you're scoring a goal and everything.
Yeah.
I think they need to look at. They need to revisit it.
Well, they definitely need to look at it, and what we need to talk about is Man United losing to PSG, because first and foremost, I think I'll start. Just going into the game, I was very confident, obviously, given the run we got, and plus the injuries that they had as well, I was confident going into the game. I thought the first half was interesting because both teams looked scared, to be quite frankly honest with you. Obviously, they had a couple of chances, and Bate and Di Maria both offside though. But minus that, we didn't have a chance, they didn't have a chance. It was a bit of a dead game, really, to be honest with you. But what did you make of the game as a whole? What would you say?
I think first off, United edged it. If I'm completely honest.
Either way, it wasn't
I
really
think in terms of not
spectacle.
chances created, but in terms of getting to the sort of final third of the pitch, I think United were the ones who were showing more emphasis around that. Which again is probably understandable.
home though,
PSG, yeah, exactly. Come from away and stuff. But I know you're probably going to follow through with this as well. The injury really killed you off. I mean,
Yeah.
I know people say that you spent X amount of money, blah blah blah, but if you looked at your bench compared to what was going off, and then you're getting rid of Martial and Lingard, and you bring in someone on like Sanchez, who's you can see he's
Terrible at the
torn of
moment,
confidence.
yeah.
He hasn't. He is completely nil of confidence. So it's been taken away, and he doesn't look like the same player that he was a couple of years ago. And to be honest, doesn't really look like he's going to get back.
It doesn't look like he's going to get better, does he?
So any team, if you take someone like Lingard and Martial, who are vitally,
It's like Liverpool
players,
losing Salah and Mane, innit, basically, at half-time, innit?
exactly. You're going to struggle
And
now.
having
I know,
to bring on Lallana and
exactly. Now I know,
yeah,
fair enough. You can say that they lost Cavani and Neymar.
Yeah, I was gonna say to you, do you not think
but
that's the same, or do you think it's
then
like different?
if you look at both teams, if you take away those two players each out of those teams, PSG is stronger. PSG are
yeah, they still had Di Maria and Draxler.
You look at that defense. You look at that PSG defense compared
so
to United's
hard.
starting defense.
Yeah, it's their defense is way better than us.
It's literally going from Championship to the Champions League. That is the difference between the two defenses. Thiago Silva was a man mountain that whole game.
Yeah, I think to be honest, the game was. I know obviously the game was lost. Won for them in midfield, but I think the defense for them personally was too strong. Just coming back on this point regarding obviously they're not having Cavani, etc., and Neymar, we didn't have obviously them two in the second half. For me personally, I can completely understand why people would say that as an argument, but my sort of standpoint on that is first and foremost, going into the game, they was already well aware of the fact that they didn't have those two players.
Yeah.
So it allows you to strategically set yourself up. But we had to improvise massively, and plan A was completely out the window. Is that criticism to Solskjaer? You could label it as a criticism because he didn't have a plan B. Nevertheless, I just don't think we've got the kit, like you touched upon. We just don't have the caliber of players really at the moment. Like you said, Sanchez not doing it. I think for me personally, where he went wrong was putting Mata on. I just thought that was just stupid, to be quite frankly honest with you. I just don't see what Mata offers.
Especially on the wing.
Yeah, no, obviously, in Cam, yeah, I can see what he offers, but not on the wing. It's basically a man down. And just in general, like, we just lost our balance basically, and they absolutely capitalised.
This was really when Lukaku had to come on.
Yeah, Lukaku had to come on.
Don't bring him on the 84th or 85th minute. It's just pointless at that time.
Yeah, he's not going to do anything. He's not really going to do anything anyway.
He's already rusty as it is. He's the sort of player that needs a good 10-15 minutes before he even gets close to his peak.
So would you? Yeah, no, absolutely. I think for me personally, I had to bring Lukaku on. Would you put that down to Solskjaer's fault, or do you think it was just one of those?
I think this is the first game where Solskjaer's been tested fully in terms of his management abilities.
Yeah.
And again, like you've just sort of related to, PSG have had a whole week to figure out a game plan.
Yeah, without
with
them
Solskjaer, he must have just gone through the motion.
Yeah, it's obviously one of the things.
What do I do here now? Because I didn't.
He's inexperienced, obviously.
Because if you lose one of them two players,
can't lose both.
Exactly. To let them both go in half time, and then you're thinking, right, I need to change my whole team formation here for two players that have, because they're both.
They are very much vital.
They're both.
We're lacking in wing as well. Exactly. That's the thing that we need as well.
Lingard doesn't have the same quality as Martial does, but he's still a hard worker. He's someone that tracks back and gets his foot in really. So to put someone like Mata around, you ain't gonna have that work ethic that someone like Lingard has, and he doesn't have the pace to go.
To be fair, to be fair to Mata, it's not his position.
It's not his position.
It's like putting me on the wing. We both know I can't run the same life. So it's pointless. We put you on the wing for a reason. Yeah. So it's like having you in the camera. It just don't make sense. Yeah. Just a couple of other things I want to touch on. Mine, then we'll move on. For me, well, I'll let you speak about it first. What did you make of the referee?
To be honest, I didn't think it was a great performance. I mean, some of the decisions, I'm sure you as a Man United fan will be arguing. I bet you're getting ready for this. But yeah, there was a couple of decisions, but then also there was a few debatable moments from players, particularly Ashley Young. I mean,
you know about the Di Maria one?
He knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing, yeah. He knows the stadium well enough by now. He's been there for long enough. He knew exactly what he was doing. So
I don't see anything wrong with it.
Yeah, but in terms of the refereeing performance, I think he bottled it, to be honest. I think he completely bottled it. I think that the occasion got to, because the thing is, we forget as people, as fans.
Yeah, the occasion definitely got to.
Even referees get pressured into it. They also feel that the nerves on the day of the game, because it's a huge thing.
No, absolutely, it's a massive moment in their career as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm not going to be as kind as that. I'm not going to be biased here. Look, there was, first and foremost, just want to get the Pogba one out of the way before people think I'm biased. That was definitely a red card. So I'm not going to sit here and say it wasn't a red card. Easy 2 yellows. He had a couple of other incidents prior that he could have got sent off as well, and the ref gave him benefit of doubt. But obviously Kimpembe scoring the goal. I just can't believe he's on the pitch. Like, first and foremost, let's just touch on the defense. Absolute joke. Shocking defending to let Kimpembe just run in a straight line and score a tapping from 6 yards. De Gea should have came out. Matic should have done his job. But that aside, he should have never been on the pitch. Clear foul route on Rashford on the far right of the pitch. So blatant. He's fully pulled him down. Even the player, you can see by his body language. Even he's like, oh, why have I done that for? That's just stupid. Landsman right next to him. He's not giving it. And the worst thing is, they didn't even give a free kick. Like, fair enough, like, he bottles a yellow card. I would have not been happy, but you've got to at least give a free kick. It's just blatant. But just in general, like, I just think he had an absolute nightmare. But at the same time, there was decisions we got away with as well. So I can't be overly critical of one way, because obviously he did mess up some. There's some cards that we should have got. Like Herrera had a couple of fouls. That Ashley Young one, another referee might have sent him off, because like you said, he did know exactly what he was doing. Although it was shoulder to shoulder, but it's just unfair sportsmanship. just quickly before we move on, because we spoke about Man United a lot. Do you think have you got any chance for a second leg?
No. not one bit.
Oh god, not even gonna.
There was as much of a chance as that happening as Spurs winning the league, so it's a massive 0.
Well, to be fair, I would have not thought you would have won 3-0 at home. So you never know. Yeah. I'm not. To be honest, if Pogba was playing, then I might have had a glimmer of a hope. But Pogba's not playing, and Fred's
Cavani
not played.
will probably be back by then as
Cavani and Neymar's probably back, so don't forget about it. Anyways, let's move on. I'm not going to say we're going to win that game. Anyways, let's speak about your beloved, I was about to say Paris Saint-Germain. Spurs 3, Dortmund 0. Probably the biggest shock in the history of the Champions League. You know what, I'm going to start first because otherwise you're going to stop talking.
Could go for days on this.
Yes. Yeah, so first and foremost, just want to say, obviously, unbelievable result. Fantastic result, great result for Pochettino as well. You know, Arsenal fans will got their memes ready to say, oh, Spurs bottled it, blah, blah, blah. But they come out on top. If I'm not mistaken, they did have quite a lot of injuries in the Dortmund. Well, yeah. Obviously, you do as well, so it's quite even.
They actually did.
Royce
was the only one out, and Alcacer maybe. Yeah, Alcacer, but that was about it.
2 big injuries, but then again, you haven't got Kane and Dalian, so it's even. So. First and foremost, I'm not going to lie to you, I thought you were very lucky to win that game. Hear me out, because at half time, first half they battered you, in my opinion. Don't get me wrong, they had a few clear-cut chances, but there's one in particular, I can't remember who it was, in the box. Was it like Harry Winks or someone who just played it across, someone intercepted it and shot?
Yeah, at the beginning there was a lot of individual errors.
Yeah, the guy put on his left foot. I think it might have been Gotsa, I'm not sure.
He's trying to do I don't know why.
I can't remember who was it. Yeah. Somebody in your box who made it. Larissa was definitely the busiest of the 2 keepers.
But then what's his name? The USA international plays.
Oh, Pulisic.
Pulisic he's
it might have been Pulisic.
Yeah, he's went to his near post.
Yeah, he had to drag that cross goal.
He's making it too easy for the goal.
It was easy, no. But the point I'm trying to make is that in the first half, I thought you got battered. Like you probably should have been at least. Yeah, he was good, man. You should have been at least one, maybe 2-0 at push. Yeah. But I've got to give credit where it's due. Second half, Son. I was just thinking Son has to score, and what a cross from Vertonghen. Unbelievable. I've not seen him play left back for years, and
we signed him as a left back.
Yeah, he put in an absolute plate for Son, and it's just watching it live. He's like he's scoring, isn't he? What a finish as well.
The thing is, I give Son so much credit for us because we have literally used every bit of his energy. If this was FIFA right now, his energy bar would be on red because he has had no rest. He's openly admitting in interviews that he's dying. He's literally dying.
I know. You've got to give credit where it's due, though.
Yeah, I mean, he's Pochettino. I think we had that period where we lost in the semis against Chelsea on pens, and then we lost in the FA Cup, and everyone said, "All right, this game against Watford, including yourself."
Yeah, no, I did as well. Yes, absolutely.
So I thought massive credit to him.
I've got to say, obviously it's I said on the radio, but I thought if you dropped points against Watford, you'd have been in trouble.
That was a massive game to come back from 1-0 down.
Was it Winks that scored last minute? Was that
that was against Fulham. So we were 1-0 down with 10 minutes
scored
left.
In it,
yeah, we won 2-1.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, so you had that period of games that I thought you'd struggle, and somehow you got through all 3 of them.
I don't know.
And obviously you got through the Champions League one as well. Who scored your second goal? I can't remember off the top of my head.
I can't remember.
Vertonghen.
I think it might have been Vertonghen.
No, it was. He got clipped over and then he came back post and he tapped it in. For me personally, like I just don't see why you wouldn't keep Vertonghen left back. He was absolutely unreal that game. It was obviously it wasn't the same, but it was like Gareth Bale.
That was just I was very, very happy with our team at the beginning in terms of the way it was lined up because the formation it helped our defence even further because we had basically, if you think about it, we had 3 centre halves at the back. Because there's Vertonghen, there's Sanchez. No, in fact, 4. Vertonghen, Sanchez, Alderweireld, Foyth. We had 4 centre halves.
Where's the other right backs?
In our other right, I can't.
They're all injured. Trippier and that.
It wasn't Trippier was on the bench and
they're not injured. Why is he playing Foyth?
So he had like 4 at the back, but they were all like centre halves that played. But Sissoko, the man mountain, I mean, I cannot give that guy enough credit. There was a time.
Oh my god, I remember the time when you absolutely despised him.
Ripped into shreds into him. Like literally, I was like 30 million flop. Why are we wasting our time with this guy?
He's coming looking like a bargain now.
Since Dembele has left, he has literally
stepped up. And
I don't know where he's got this pace from.
To be fair, he did play really well for France in that role.
But they lost.
No,
that
but
final, in that Euro
I know,
final
but when
that you're
Pogba
referring-
dropped deep and then had Sissoko there, he was fantastic then as well. So it's not completely out of the blue, but yeah, Sissoko has been a revelation.
Yeah, I think,
would you give credit to Poch for that, or do you
I
think
think
it's just
one
an
of the
individual
one of the
player?
other ones that he's done as well is when we lost against you. If you remember, he put Ericsson in that quarterback sort of role.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's kept him in that role since then because he knows that he got a lot of the ball.
He was
and
fantastic against us. He was he was pulling the
then,
strings, yeah.
Exactly, and that's what he did in the Champions League. So he's played him a bit further.
But I think that's what Ericsson's role is, though, because he's wasted on the wing. You can have extra play on the wing that's got a lot of pace.
100%. I just think our team confidence at the moment is very, very high. And when you've got someone like Llorente, for his confidence, bless him, like I can imagine, especially that game when he scored an own goal against Fulham. Like, he's probably thinking, what's going off, sort of thing.
His celebrations.
He scored an own goal against someone. I can't remember.
I think it was. Yeah, it might have been Fulham.
But we were thinking because that was his first game post Harry Kane and everything went on him. So since then he's been involved in like I think five out of the last 6 games he's been.
It's a good header, to be fair. A very important goal that proper swings the tie in your favour. Because if it was 2-0, with that, like we've already touched upon, atmosphere unbelievable. Like, do you think, like, obviously 3-0 going into the second leg, how do you fancy your chances?
The only problem is it's a difficult scoreline because as a manager you're probably going to think, let's sit back a bit. But if you sit back at Dortmund, we already seen the evidence from that first half. We will get ripped to shreds. Now we cannot get ripped for 90 minutes straight because we will concede.
If you concede one there, the place is going to erupt, isn't it?
If you look at that Dortmund defence, it doesn't. If you're a Dortmund fan, it doesn't keep you confident that you're going to keep a clean sheet. It's not going to happen because even the weekend before they were 3-0 up or 3-1 up against.
Yeah, they drew 3-3, I think.
And they drew 3-3. So I definitely think we'll concede, but I definitely think we'll score. And I think we'll.
If you score one goal, you've won.
I think this game could be something like a 3-2, 3-1.
No, but if you score one goal, the thing is with me personally, right? Obviously, you say it's a dodgy scoreline. I don't think it is. Like, obviously, clearly, it's in your favour. But you've got to understand that if you score one goal, they need to score 5.
That's it, yeah.
So they're gonna obviously they need to go for it because they need to get the goals as well. But they need to be well aware of the ability you guys got on the break because Ericsson's got the capabilities of finding a pass.
The same team, I think. If they're all fit, we need to stick with the same team because we didn't have a striker.
It's in a couple of weeks, isn't it?
Yeah, we didn't.
So you still got a few games out. Isn't Harry Kane fit?
Harry Kane will be fit for that game.
Well, there you go. Then you've won.
There you go.
I personally think that you're going to get through.
And again, this is what I mean. People argue about what we've done and stuff. Fair enough, we haven't won a trophy yet. However, the last 3 seasons that we've been in the Champions League, we lost in the group stages. We lost to Juventus in the last 16.
Yeah.
And now potentially, fingers crossed, we'll be in the quarters. So there is progression. I know it's not as quick as what as fans what we'd like it to.
Would you say this is like I know for you, like, from knowing you, obviously you always speak about that you need a trophy, etc. to showcase progression. Yeah. But hypothetically speaking, you say you get to the final 8, which at the moment is looking like that, which is unbelievable, obviously. Would you say that's more of a success than winning the likes of FA Cup?
Because it's difficult now to what defines success because a lot that's
trophies
that
really
divides opinion in terms of fans.
But I'm asking you, like, as a fan, right? Because we've literally only got 40 seconds. Yeah, I mean, I'm asking you as a fan. If I was to say to you, you can get to the last 8 of Champions League, you get top 4, which is what it's looking like, but you won't win the trophy. Would you be satisfied? Would you say that's more of a success, or would you say top 4 and the FA Cup's more of a success? And you get kicked out straight.
I think for us right now, top 4 is more important than the trophy, and the reason why I'd say that is we've just got 61,000 capacity stadium that we need to pay for. If you have that sort of stadium and you don't have Champions League football,
it's pointless.
It's hard to attract guests and so forth as well.
I'm gonna have to cut you off there because we have run out of time. Just after the break, we'll talk about the other teams in the Champions League, and of course, we'll talk about the Europa League. Be back in a few. Hello and welcome back to your Sunday night show with your host Usman Akhtar. Before the break, we were talking about United and Spurs. We're going to move on and talk about the other 2 games in the Champions League, well, the English teams, so to speak. The ones coming up this week. So first and foremost, Manchester City are playing Schalke, I believe. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So what do you reckon? Man City. We're gonna keep this short and sweet. Kish, what do you reckon? Manchester City against Schalke.
Easy win for Manchester City, to be honest. I think we all know it's predictable in terms of the scoreline. I think they'll probably get 3 to 4 goals, maybe.
They're on fire, aren't they? Really, they just beat Newport as well. So expect them to win, but they beat them 4-1 as well. Foden getting a couple of goals.
Exactly.
They're just killing it, really.
They
Like,
are.
how many goals have they scored lately against Chelsea? Putting 6 past Chelsea.
I mean, even yesterday against Newport, they concede, so it's 2-1, and then they scored 2 goals within the last.
I know there was a moment when I saw obviously that Newport scored that they might have, well, not have a chance, but put a bit of pressure on them, and then they literally scored within an instant. So what you're thinking? We'll just be quick with that because obviously it's quite predictable, isn't it? What you thinking? What's your score prediction for that one?
I'd probably say 4-1 to Manchester City.
4-1. I'm gonna be a bit more kind to Schalke and say 5-0. Sorry if there's any Schalke fans watching, but you might as well just forget about it. Anyways, moving on to one of the harder ties of the knockouts. Liverpool against Bayern Munchen at Anfield Stadium. Okay, so just before we go into, just want you to know Van Dijk suspended, if I'm not mistaken. It looks like according to obviously our Liverpool source, it looks like Fabinho, Matip, or Henderson and Matip are going to start in the back. So obviously just take that into consideration. So how do you think the game's going to pan out? What your sort of predictions, that kind of thing?
I think it's a very, very tough game to predict. I mean, if you look at Bayern's form at the moment, although it's picked up, they're still second in the Bundesliga.
Yeah.
Usually by this time of
they have picked up a lot actually. The last 5 games I think they've won 4.
Yeah.
Last one, which was to Bayer Leverkusen.
My thing is that
lost 3-1.
usually by this time of the season they're out of sight in that league. They're
Yeah,
probably
absolutely.
10 points in front. So this time around, their squad is going to be pushed to the limit. And if you look, Robbie and Ribbon, 34, 35.
They're not playing at the moment.
They look like slowly they're getting pushed away now to the side.
Yeah.
But then you've got players like Serge Gnabry and Kingsley Coman.
Kingsley Coman's just passed the late fitness test. He scored twice on Friday as well, so he's coming into this with decent form as well.
I think the difference could actually work from youth, and if you look at Liverpool's team in terms of the average age of their squad, I just think they've got more legs.
Who the Liverpool have?
Yeah, I think Liverpool.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, I think. I mean,
because the Bayern team's quite young,
Yeah, but I mean, in terms of experience and everything, if you add everything on top of that, I think maybe, to be honest, I think Liverpool just edge it.
I don't agree with that at all, actually.
Really?
Yeah, because let me just go through I can't remember the defense. But I know Alba's playing. I don't know who's playing on the other sides. So Neuer's in net because he's fit. Alba's playing on the right. Realistically, I can't remember who's playing defense. Don't know if it's Boateng or if it's someone. I don't think Boateng's gonna be playing. But yeah, so the middle of the park, they got Goretzka, if you're pronouncing like that. You got James Rodriguez, Thiago Alcantara, front 3 of Lewandowski, Gnabry, and Coleman. So it's not.
Will James start though? Because
no, he has started practically every game for the last. Yeah. It's a bit of a weird system. I think they're playing, if I'm not mistaken, like on the spreadsheet it's a 4-3-3, but I feel like it's more for 4-2-3-1. Or even like a diamond or like a triangle in the middle of the park with James, at the tip of the triangle, so to speak, like in the cam, basically, which makes sense. Obviously, Goretzka as a destroyer and Thiago as a strings, pulling the strings. So I think so. It's a good team, but my first and foremost, right, Liverpool at home. I've said it previously, they can beat anyone on a night at Anfield, especially Champions League night. And I just think the midfield obviously is normally where the game is won or lost. I just think, coming back to your legs comment, I don't think it's necessarily legs. I would say more energy. Like they have more. I think Liverpool have more energy about them.
At the end of the day, the intensity of the Premier League is always going to be more than any other league. Even.
But this is Bayern Munich, though. You've got to remember they're a very experienced Champions League campaigners.
This is a Bayern Munich that have not been in the final of the Champions League since 2011, 2012.
It's true.
And since then, they've not really got close. They've not even got 2 semi-finals since then. Oh well, in fact, I might be wrong there. They might have under the Pepe era, but since then they have struggled, because if you look at that Bayern Munich team, there's a massive rebuilding job there. Now I know that you're saying the likes of Kingsley Coman and the likes of Gnabry and so forth who are in the team, but they are the same quality as someone like a Ribery and a Robben a couple of years ago.
Ribery still comes off the bench, to be fair, like here and there. He scored a couple of, he's not the same player, but off the bench he's done a job. He's scored in a couple of games as well. They've got a goal. One thing I will say about this Bayern Munich team, Muller comes off the bench as well, by the way, so Muller can easily play over James.
Front 3 of Liverpool, if they're on form,
yeah, but you got.
I know,
I completely understand what you're saying, but you got to remember Gnabry, Coleman, and Lewandowski are going to be playing against Matip and Fabinho.
I have a little question under Lewandowski, to be honest, because the last couple of years, although he
Gone a
still
bit
gets
quiet.
the starts and the goals, he's not really done it in big games
He
recently.
didn't do it in the World Cup,
In
did
the
he? I was a
World
bit
Cup, he was
disappointed with him,
very
to be fair.
disappointing.
He was okay, but Milik, for me, stood out more than
Exactly.
Lewandowski did.
And even at the Euros before that, he wasn't really. I
But
don't
then
know.
again, look at the team he's at.
I think what's happened to him is he's been wanting that dream move to Real Madrid for years now.
No, definitely.
It's
He's a
not
Real Madrid
happened.
striker, isn't he?
And he knows now realistically that he's going to be at Bayern for the rest of his career, which is not a bad thing. Of course it isn't. But
Yeah, they're a good team.
when you've got your heart set on someone like Madrid,
I think no, I can see what you're saying. Like obviously, but then again, for me personally, right, it's a different situation. Like in the past, you've already alluded to it already. In the past, Bayern Munich at this point are always like miles ahead. I think this is actually a negative for Liverpool because normally when they're so far ahead, it's difficult for them to come out of that sort of mindset of okay, we're gonna win, and like step the level up back to the sort of level it's meant to be to compete in the Champions League. So then they come to a point every weekend that they play subpar, but they still win 5-0. So going from there to get back up to the Champions League standard, they have struggled with that in the past, and I think that's one of the reasons that they haven't done as well in the Champions League. But they're competing now, though.
I'll tell you what would be a good question for Liverpool fans or any Liverpool fans that are watching this today. That would you, as fans, prefer Liverpool to be knocked out of the Champions League now, knowing that you're not in the League Cup, obviously, that's
You're not in the FA Cup either.
Out of the FA Cup, so the only fixture you would be looking forward
Premier
to
League.
is the Premier League, which, if you look at the international breaks, not the international breaks, the FA Cup breaks and the Champions League break, you're basically getting a week off.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Because this is
It's
the best
what happened.
chance.
It happened with Leicester, didn't it? When they had obviously Eula had the other competitions going on,
Exactly.
and Leicester benefited from massively.
One game a week.
Yeah, for me personally, right? I just think if they were to get kicked out by Bayern, first and foremost, there's no shame in that.
Exactly, yeah.
And secondly, it might probably be blessing in disguise. Less likely to get injuries, less fatigue from players. They can go back to gegenpress because the players are fully fresh. So overall, it will probably benefit them. So just quickly, what do you reckon score prediction? What would you say? It's at Anfield, of
First
course.
leg is at Anfield.
Yeah, it's at Anfield.
I think Liverpool will edge it, and my score will be 2-1. 2-1.
I was going to go 2-1 as well to Liverpool. Only because they're at home, to be honest with you. But I just think with the fact they haven't got Van Dijk, we saw in the past, without Van Dijk, how bad they are defending. So for that reason, I'm going to say 2-2, and I'm going to say Lewandowski brace.
Lewandowski brace.
Yeah, so for me personally, I just think he is a quality striker. Unlike me, he can actually finish.
I'm gonna give
Yeah,
Sam
so
my-
Lewandowski is class on his day. Like I can see what you're saying, that he hasn't really been in the limelight as late, but even then his form in the last couple of games, he's been scoring every other game. Gnabry's been scoring every other game. Coleman bagged 2 on the week on the Friday when they played. Goretzka, who's a DM, he's been scoring. Thiago, every single one of their players. Muller came off the bench, he scored. This is the concern. If I was a Liverpool fan, would be my concern. The fact that how like you play against certain teams and you can say we stop this person from scoring, realistically we can stop most of the team. That's not the case with them. They've got goal scorers at every single position on the pitch, and then you've got to deal with the likes of Muller or James Rodriguez or a Ribery coming on, for example. So that's where the main threat is going to be. The movement, the fluidity in that front three. I know Lewandowski's not known for his pace, but his movement is unbelievable. So I think that's where they're going to struggle, Liverpool, to cope with that.
For Liverpool, with the likes of Shaqiri and Sturridge have to step
Possibly.
up, 'cause they're going to have an impact.
But you've got to remember that Liverpool, obviously you can say that Bayern, they haven't really done it, but at the same time Liverpool haven't really played someone of proper quality for a while as well, and if even then they've been struggling. So Liverpool are going into this. I know they won the last game, but I don't even remember the beat. Was that something you expect them to beat? They're not coming into this form, and Bayern Munich are actually coming into this after their Leverkusen defeat a couple of weeks ago. They're coming into it with a bit of form. So for me personally, I think I'm going to say 2-2 just because Van Dijk's not playing. Anyways, moving on from that, let's talk about your favourite team, Bate Borisov. Arsenal 0, Bate Borisov 1. Oh my god. Yeah, what did you make of the game, Kish?
They've not played a game since how long?
December, I believe.
Do you know the funny thing is, because there seems to be a good little
They're actually farmers,
Twitter rivalry, doesn't it, between
They're
United?
actually farmers.
Literally farmers.
They're
There seems to
actually
be
farmers.
a rivalry on Twitter between United and Arsenal fans, and you saw obviously the likes of DT just slating, changing his profile picture where he's behind the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
And then a day later, you see them losing to Farmers. I mean, I don't know what's going on for that club, to be honest. That is just... And can some Arsenal fan please explain to me why Ozil is sitting at home watching this game against the Bate? What is going off? Like,
right,
why is he not even on
apparently, to be fair, he was ill apparently.
He's not ill, man. He's watching the game.
To be fair to Ozil, before you're obviously going on him, he wanted that milestone 100 games not played for Arsenal.
Oh my God.
He has achieved 100 games not playing for Arsenal. I think, to be fair to him, he deserves one of those plaques. Now, how a goal scorer get some sort of plaque when they score 100 goals for a club? He deserves one for missing 100 games.
I think, again, this is the first time Emery's been proper tested now in his Arsenal management days.
Let me just ask you a question on Emery quickly. Like, know how sorry people are calling for his head, like metaphorically speaking. Why is Emery not under the same pressure? No one's saying, questioning him. He's had a lot of disappointing results of late. I'm not hearing a lot of Arsenal fans. To be fair, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but the press ain't saying nothing. Obviously, etc. Why do you think there's a difference between the sort of?
First and foremost, I think looking back at it, I think they need, in terms of both teams and both managers, I actually think Sarri would have been better suited to be the Arsenal manager, and Emery would have been better suited to be the Chelsea manager. And the reason why I say that is when Arsene Wenger left, Sarri is a similar style of manager in terms of the.
Do you not think Arsenal needed a change though, because that wasn't working? That style almost became stale to an extent.
You say that, but then if you think about it, this is the difference. I think for him to stamp his authority and put in his own playing philosophy, he doesn't have the right players at Arsenal to play that way.
Yeah, no,
he
absolutely.
doesn't, because it's Wenger's team still.
You're on about Emery?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah.
He doesn't have that. That's the difference. And he's changing a philosophy for a team that's been used to this, not just the players but the fans, for 20 years. Whereas at Chelsea, it's chop and change every 2-3 seasons, to be honest. So you know what's happening at Chelsea. You know the likelihood of what's going to happen. Whereas at Arsenal, it's just a massive difference in terms of you've had one manager for that period of time.
It is obviously difficult because he's having to uproot all the sort of traditions, from the nutrition to obviously little things that the players like Ozil would have been accustomed to, because obviously he's been there for a while. But just coming back to the Ozil thing, just regarding him not getting a game, etc. We can laugh and joke, but truthfully speaking, right, my personal opinion on that, I absolutely love Ozil. I think he's world class on his day, but I just don't understand why he didn't sell him. If you're not going to play him, because clearly there's been, like, a couple of weeks ago, Ozil posted on Friday night, right, on his social media, I'm fit. Like, he posted a picture, I'm fit, I'm ready to play. He's not even in the match day squad. Like, how can he not make the bench?
Well, isn't he, about
about Bergkamp and stuff. But how can he not make the match day squad? I find it baffling that he can't make the bench.
I think what's happening is Emery's slowly trying to put him in the exit door. He's trying to do it in a dignified way, but if anything, it's making it worse.
Do you think it's affecting the overall mentality of the club, the morale, etc.?
You look at that team, right?
Because they've got Ramsey leaving as well, and he's playing as well. It's a joke at the moment.
They've got Ramsey leaving. There's Aubameyang and Lacazette, but with Aubameyang and Lacazette, there's no one behind. There's no one there.
For me personally, they should play 3-5-2. Aubameyang and Lacazette up front, Ozil behind them. Tell him not to defend.
Is literally going to create opportunities for them to attack.
It's just baffling to me.
Because at the moment, their main creator is Iwobi. He's good, but he's nowhere near.
He's not Arsenal level, man. Come on, man. Let's not beat around the bush. Like, I know he's young, but he's not Arsenal level.
He's a squad player.
Yeah, exactly. Fair play to him, innit? Obviously regarding the Ozil situation, he kind of did the same thing with Neymar at PSG. I don't know if you remember or not, but he kind of almost made an example of Neymar, and obviously that was led to his demise, so to speak. But do you not think it's almost like Emery is trying to? I'm not sure, but I feel like it's almost like a power thing. Do you think he's trying to show the players, like, look, if I can do that to Ozil, I can do that to any of you?
Show it as an example.
I can't think of any other reason though. Yeah, because it don't make sense.
He's done it to Aubameyang before this season, where he dropped him for a game or two just to show people that there must have been something that he.
Maybe I think his intention probably was like, I'm going to do it for a couple of games just to show if you're not putting your weight about, if you're not pulling your weight, so to speak, like running wise, then you're not going to play. But then I think he might have actually got injured for a bit, and then obviously since then it's just spiraled
as a manager, right, you've got to appreciate that. If a player can't do that, and that's not their forte, then why make them do it? At the end of the day, we criticise him for his work rate, but if you look at distance covered every game, he's up there with the top 3.
Yeah, no,
he's there. He's done like 11 kilometers or something like that. It's
yeah, I think it's more. I think in Emery's defense, that distance cover doesn't paint the whole picture because it's not sprints.
Why is Solskjaer doing so well at United?
All right, we'll talk about Solskjaer in a second.
Exactly. No, but
it is down to man management.
He's playing. He's giving players
and putting him in the right positions as well.
Exactly. He's playing like, for example, Pogba. He's playing him to his strength.
Exactly. That's what you got to do.
That's what he needs to do with Ozil.
Simple as that, really. For me personally, just copy what Man United do, put Ozil in Pogba's position, and just let him enjoy himself. And just quickly, so we can move on because I don't run out of time.
Yeah.
Just regarding Arsenal, do you think they get through? So the 1-0 down, they're coming back to the Emirates.
Yeah.
Bear in mind, Lacazette's missing it because of it. I think he elbowed someone and got straight red.
Aubameyang will play in that one though, won't he?
So yeah, he will.
He's in the squad, isn't he?
Yeah, he will be. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think he'll be comfortable still. I
don't think he'll be comfortable because it's Arsenal. On the scoreline, it'll be comfortable. An aggregate one. I'm going to say 3-1 Arsenal. But obviously that'd be 3-2 in aggregate. But yeah, I'm expecting Arsenal to win. I think it'll be 1-1 or something at some point, which will mean Arsenal behind and then Arsenal will score.
I mean, if they lose this, then...
If they lose this, then would you say Emery needs questioning, or would you still say just stick with it?
He definitely needs questioning.
Yeah. Anyways, another person that's been heavily questioned. Sorry, Chelsea beating Malmo 2-1. Can't remember who scored. Yeah, Ross Barkley scored the first one. Bit of luck, bit of fortune with that one, and then Giroud doing what Giroud does, runs the front post, flicks it on, doesn't celebrate. Fair play to him. You're only playing Malmo. But yeah, so what did you make of the game?
I think at the moment Chelsea are really struggling in terms of player confidence.
Yeah,
they're really, really struggling.
But Kante and Hazard didn't play, to be fair.
And again, I know, but again, it's that defense. You're conceding. You know, again, how many times have we said in the past that with Chelsea teams they're dominant? They're in terms of the players. It
was a poor goal to concede. Have you seen it?
Yeah, and
it's just like one ball on the wing and then one ball in the middle.
There's been quite a few examples.
Good finish though.
Against City, some of them goals they're just giving them to Bournemouth. Again, there's so many examples. I know what he's trying. I can see that he's trying to bring fancy football in. It's going to
take time, man.
But it takes a long time.
He hasn't got the players, man.
And again, he's also put himself in bad situations as a manager, or even as a normal fan. You can see where the initial problems are. Play Kante in his right position.
Common sense, man.
Play him in his normal position. Give Jorginho. That gives
Jorginho.
That gives him more space to pass the ball out. Because at the moment, Jorginho's getting absolutely annihilated by pundits, fans, everyone.
To be fair, I'm just going to say this. I've said it already, but I don't think he's a bad player. I just think he's been found out.
He has been found out.
So it's not how PSG and Marquinhos, we didn't really mention this, but Marquinhos was probably man of the match in my personal opinion because of the job he did on Pogba. Like, basically the same things happened to Jorginho. Like, it's quite easy to nullify. Like, it was very easy for them to nullify Man United because Pogba is the conductor, so to speak.
Yeah,
you take him out of the game, and that was my main criticism on Man United in that day. Not the fact that we weren't good enough, because they were just way better than us. I gotta put my hands up. But the fact that we didn't have any other options, and I feel like Chelsea are falling under that same category with the style of football he's trying to play. If you take Jorginho out of the game, the conductor, then basically it just falls apart because I haven't got another player to do that role.
Quick question for you.
Although Kovacic can.
Do you think I probably does think that he's not good enough for the first team anymore? But do you think him completely wiping out someone like Gary Cahill out the squad is a bad idea? And the reason why I asked that is because there has been murmurs around players.
I think for me personally, I think it's a bit stupid because he could have done with his experience in the dressing room, just to obviously have that sort of leadership, because they are lacking leadership at the moment.
Big time.
Rupert said here, watch, they'll be good tomorrow against Man United, and leads it on nicely. Man United against obviously Chelsea tomorrow at the Bridge. A couple of stats for you. If I'm not mistaken, don't quote me on this, but we haven't won at the Bridge in the last 9 games or something ridiculous like that. We just draw, like in the last 22 years or something, not 22 games we haven't won or something stupid. We've drawn, we've not won. I think it's something ridiculous like that. We don't have a great record there. I know they're not doing well, but what do you reckon? How do you think the game will pan out? Hazard and Kante are fresh.
I think he'll be cagey for the first 20-25 minutes. But then I think if Solskjaer has done his homework, I think he'll know that if you nullify Hazard, you win the game. Pretty much. pretty much, because
Yeah, I
if he,
suppose.
that,
But we haven't got Lingard and
the only
Martial.
way
though.
that changes is if Sarri, by some magical way, decides, oh, do you know what? I'm going to put Kante in his position. I'm actually going to play him there.
I really hope he doesn't
If
do it
he
against
plays
us.
Kante on the wing,
Honestly.
and he makes Hazard the focal point again, this will be the best chance in those 9 games that Man United have of beating Chelsea.
First and
Confidence is
foremost,
low.
first and foremost, I don't have much confidence of us containing
Really?
Hazard. Yeah, because look at our fullbacks.
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest with you, with all due respect to Luke Shaw and Ashley Young, they're not the best in it. They're not world beaters. Although Luke Shaw, obviously I'm a massive fan of Luke Shaw, but they can definitely cause us threat. Jorginho, for me personally, if we keep him quiet, we should be fine, because he's the one, like I said, the conductor. But the reason I would have been confident if we had Lingard and Martial is because their fullbacks are having an absolute nightmare at the moment.
Yeah.
Alonso's not having a good run of it. Obviously, he's had personal issues as well. That's affected him. Emerson, I think that's his name, who was actually decent, but again, he's not very defensive. You see a lot with you see a lot with fullbacks these days. They're very good going forward, but defensively they get found out. Aspilicueta, a quality player, but again, not having a great season. Rudiger, he's playing well, but the other centre back, God, David Luiz not doing well. Christensen, I don't know why he's not getting game.
David Luiz is either a 3 out of 10 or 9.
You don't know, innit? But it should be interesting.
Even the goalkeeper.
Yeah,
I
I suppose he's
Courtois,
made
if you look at some of the mistakes he made against City, do
Yeah.
you think Courtois would have made those amount of mistakes?
he did, well, did you see Courtois' mistake last week?
This week?
Did you see it?
Yeah.
The one when he dropped it out his hand and he had it.
Yeah,
Look, he was offside, because that was an absolute howler.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if you look
But
at
it
Kepa,
just comes-
he's a bit...
But Kepa is a bit young. I'm not gonna. Yeah, I can see what you're saying with Kepa.
I'm
but
just saying their squad is weaker, and that's the difference.
I think, regardless of the squad, I just think it's more of a mentality thing. Like, we're going into this game having to bounce back from what was not embarrassing. I don't want to say embarrassing, because let's be honest, PSG at the moment, as it stands, they're level above us, and we've got to, just accept that because for what it is. But we're coming into this game like with it's interesting, because obviously for me personally, the test wasn't against PSG. I know that sounds stupid, but the test for me is how we would react to a loss.
Yeah.
And how the players would bounce back, and also the fact that we've got injuries now, or 2 key players that you have had for God knows how many weeks. How are we gonna obviously deal with that and try to I suppose counteract that, and obviously him coming up with a new strategy. That's the test for me. So this Chelsea game for me is very important for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We've already seen the fans getting a bit ridiculous saying, "Oh, Ali out." Obviously, I'm not even close to that standpoint, but to be fair, if you was to lose this and we got beat convincingly, because on a day they can't do it just like they did to Man City early in the season. If we were to get beat, then our next game's Liverpool, so then we could be in a situation that we've not won in 3 or we've lost 3 in a row. So it is a tricky situation for us as well.
These next few fixtures for United will either get Solskjaer the job or not.
That's what I mean. Like, for me personally, I'm not gonna lie to you, although it would be really nice to win the FA Cup, and I do want to win the FA Cup. If someone said to me, you lose to Chelsea and you beat Liverpool, no brainer really. I just care about the Premier League mainly. I want to stay in that top 4. Obviously the FA Cup, we need to be beating Chelsea because they're not in a great vein of form, but it's not by no means easy. So we'll do a quick score prediction, then we'll go right through the other fixtures. What do you reckon?
I'm gonna go for a draw, actually.
Yes, no, I'm gonna go for
a 1-1 draw.
Oh my god, that's exactly what I'm going for. Right, just to touch upon what you said, I'm gonna agree. Very cagey. I think if you're a neutral watching football, don't watch this game if you can help it, because it's gonna be a boring game. Both teams. Well, I suppose we're playing good football.
Watch it be an absolute wild game.
I'd be shocked, to be honest with you. I just think, in fact, no, it might be a good game because both teams can't defend.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you never know. But I'm gonna say a draw as well. Actually, I think it's gonna be a replay which both teams don't want. I don't know. I just can't see us winning for some reason. I just think the Martial and Lingard injuries are too big for us because Sanchez is not doing it. And if he plays Matt on the right wing, I'm just gonna.
He might have to put Rashford back on the wing and put.
Yeah, I think that's the only sort of. He's obviously don't want to tap him, but it makes sense for if he did that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna say 1-1 as well. No, I'm just gonna say 2-1 just to be different. I'm gonna say 2-1 to Man United. That is, of course. Anyways, let's quickly route through the Premier League fixtures, and then we'll do the League Cup as well. Okay, so Man United, Liverpool. Obviously, we just referred to that. Quickly, what do you reckon? We've only got like a minute and a bit, so.
I think, referring to the injuries that you said, I think Liverpool win that 2-1. However, I do really want Man United to
well,
win,
obviously, yeah.
thing. But I think
if we win, if we even draw this game, you're literally 3 points behind Liverpool if you win it, which is ridiculous.
It's mad, isn't it?
It's absolutely. Obviously, I don't expect you to.
People say we're in the race, but people don't want to believe that we're in the race.
I want you to win it. You know I do. Although you would go, I don't even care if you celebrate. I'll celebrate with you, son. Yeah. But yeah, to be honest, we going into this game initially when Martial and Lingard were fit, I was confident that we'd get at least a result, and what I mean by that is that we won't lose. But the fact that our defense isn't fantastic, I knew that we would have had to outscore them. It'll be interesting. I don't know. It's because it's at Old Trafford, so I'm having.
Van Dijk will make the difference.
Yeah, it's interesting because their midfield isn't fantastic, but they have runners. So I'm gonna say a draw. Hopefully we don't lose. As long as we don't lose, I'll take it because I don't want them to win the league, to be quite frankly honest with you. So I'm gonna say 1-1. Anyways, like I said, we got literally 40 seconds, so we'll right through them. Burnley Spurs, you are away, I believe.
It's a tough
Tricky
one 'cause they're on
game.
form, aren't they, Burnley?
Yeah, but they're at home, so they're not gonna.
I'm gonna go for 1-0 Tottenham.
I'm gonna say 2-1 Spurs. Chelsea Brighton, Chelsea at home.
3-1 Chelsea.
I'm gonna say 4-1. I'm gonna buy Higuain, you know, fancy football. Arsenal v Southampton.
2-1 Arsenal.
2-1. And just quickly, I'm not actually sure. In fact, no, I haven't even given a prediction there. Yeah, that's tricky. Arsenal a bit.
They're home, aren't they?
Yeah, I'll say 3-1 Arsenal. And then last 10 seconds, Chelsea, Man City, in the final.
I think that's gonna be 3-1 City.
I'm saying City as well. Anyways, hopefully you enjoy the show. We will be back next week.
Speak to you soon.